Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Antonio Brown puts new Steelers playmaker on notice. New Pittsburgh Steelers running back Cordarrelle Patterson asked for opinions on social media about what number he should wear during the 2024 season. Former Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown obliged, telling Patterson in so many words not to wear number 84. Brown made it clear that if Patterson wears his customary number 84 in Pittsburgh, fans won't be thinking about him. Only 84 you would ever see Patterson, Brown quote-tweeted to Patterson. Brown wore number 84 with the Steelers from 2010 to 18. In addition to number 84, Patterson is considering wearing number 10, 13, 18 or 81 next season. X, formerly Twitter, users can vote in a poll to share with Patterson what number they think he should wear. The poll will close late in the evening on April 3rd. Keep my number 84 or switch to, Patterson asked on X. It's not clear if Patterson is considering a number change because of Brown. But if he does switch his number, it will be the first time in his career that he does. Patterson wore number 84 with the Minnesota Vikings, then Oakland Raiders, New England Patriots, Chicago Bears and Atlanta Falcons. Brown may have become the greatest wide receiver in Steelers history while wearing number 84. But it's not like Patterson hasn't excelled wearing the number 2. Patterson has made just as many first-team All-Pros as Brown did during his career. Patterson also won a Super Bowl with the Patriots as Brown did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In his 11-year career, Patterson has returned 9 kickoffs for touchdowns, which is an NFL record. He's led the league in kickoff return yardage twice and kickoff return touchdowns 6 times in his career. Brown led the NFL in receiving yards and receptions twice. He also had a league-high 15 receiving touchdowns in 2018. Brown accomplished all of those feats with the Steelers. The Steelers signed Patterson the same day the NFL announced radical rule changes to the kickoff. That, along with Patterson's kickoff return touchdown record, led many to argue that Patterson will mostly serve as a kickoff return specialist in Pittsburgh. That could very well be the case. But Patterson can also run the ball and catch passes. The Steelers possess Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren in the backfield. Therefore, Patterson will likely provide only depth for Pittsburgh's running back room. But the team lacks playmakers at receiver outside of George Pickens. While Pickens led the NFL with 18.1 yards per reception last season, he is the only Steelers wideout currently on the roster who had more than 209 receiving yards in 2023. With the Falcons the past 3 years, Patterson caught 82 passes for 708 yards and 6 touchdowns. He hauled in a lot of those receptions out of the backfield, but Patterson has the ability to line up in the slot or even out wide. And he's back with his former Falcons offensive play caller. Ex-Falcons head coach Arthur Smith is Pittsburgh's new offensive coordinator. Last year, Smith listed Patterson as a joker on the team's depth chart. In a perfect world, the Steelers will add more capable receiving depth either through a blockbuster trade or the NFL draft. But even if the team adds another wideout this offseason, Patterson could be a solution for more depth. Former Pittsburgh Steelers star Antonio Brown argues why Caitlin Clark should declare for 2024 NBA Draft. Former Pittsburgh Steelers star wide receiver Antonio Brown gave his reasoning for why Iowa Hawkeyes phenom Caitlin Clark should declare for the 2024 NBA Draft. The NBA is reportedly trying to draw Caitlin Clark to the league during the 2024-25 NBA season. Clark is expected to go number 1 in the 2024 WNBA Draft. She'll turn professional once Iowa completes its Final Four run this weekend. Clark's skills on the court have attracted many eyeballs to women's basketball and the sport in general. Brown has commented about Clark previously, referring to her physical appearance by comparing her to actor Mel Gibson. Following Iowa's win in the Elite Eight over LSU, Brown was able to focus on the basketball side of Clark. Brown wrote on his X account that Clark should head for the NBA this summer since most college analysts believe this year's draft class is weak. They saying this the worst NBA draft ever, so go ahead and draft Caitlin Clark and see what he can do, Brown wrote. Like many of Brown's observations, this one isn't in touch with reality. Sorry, CTESPN. There's no way an NBA team will take Clark in this summer's draft. It would be interesting to see how she could compete with NBA players, but the only way that will happen is through an exhibition contest. While Clark won't be in an NBA team's rotation next season, she could have a chance to play against NBA talent. The NBA is looking into having Clark compete against Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the three-point contest during next season's All-Star Weekend. Second-round WR suggested as potential new Steelers trade target after Diggs' trade. The Pittsburgh Steelers were a part of one of the biggest wide receiver trades of the offseason. They sent Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers in a deal that left them without a WR2. Now an even bigger wide receiver trade has been made. The Buffalo Bills traded Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans. That trade could open up an opportunity for the Steelers. The Texans are now loaded at wide receiver, and that could make one receiver that may have just become the odd man out in Houston an option for the Steelers. Steelers Nation's Parker Abate believes that the Texans landing Diggs could make John Metchie III a trade target for the Steelers. Metchie was an interesting prospect when he declared for the NFL draft. He hadn't been the WR1 at any point during his 3 seasons at Alabama, but he had been very productive during his time there. That production didn't come right away. He made just 23 catches as a freshman. Then he made a big improvement in his sophomore season. Despite having to fight for targets in a wide receiver room that also included Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith, Metchie was able to make 55 catches for 916 yards and 6 touchdowns. The next season, he was paired with Jameson Williams at wide receiver and once again saw an improvement in his numbers. As a junior, Metchie made 96 catches for 1,142 yards and 8 touchdowns. His strong last 2 seasons led the Texans to select him 44th overall in 2022. Unfortunately, he suffered a major setback before his rookie season again. Metchie was diagnosed with cancer and had to miss his entire rookie year. Thankfully, he was able to beat cancer and was able to return for his second season. By the time he returned, he once again found himself in a crowded wide receiver room. During the 2023 offseason, the Texans drafted Tank Dell and signed Robert Woods. They also already had Nico Collins, who had a huge 2023 season, and added Dalton Schultz at tight end for a bit more target competition. Metchie was able to appear in 16 games in his first seasons of NFL action, but only made 16 catches for 158 yards. Now that the Texans have Diggs, Metchie will find himself way down the depth chart, and that could convince the team to trade him before the 2024 season begins. If they make him available, he could be of interest to a Steelers team that needs to improve at the position. Right now, the Steelers' wide receiver situation is a bit of an odd one. When they traded Johnson away, it left them with a major hole at wide receiver. In the time since the trade, they've added quite a few receivers, but none of them are a replacement for Johnson. They've signed Van Jefferson, Quez Watkins, and Cordarrelle Patterson. Patterson's biggest contribution to the team will likely come as a kick returner. Meanwhile, Watkins and Jefferson are more likely to compete for spots as the WR3 and WR4 than for Johnson's old spot. That should leave the team still looking to improve at the position. They could look for a receiver in the draft, but also have other needs that they could prioritize in the first couple of rounds. A move for Metchie wouldn't eliminate their need for a WR2, but he's at least a player who previously showed the potential to be a productive starter. He's somebody that could be available for a reasonable trade price and still has plenty of potential at just 23 years old. If the cost isn't prohibitive, he'd be worth a shot for the Steelers. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation of John Metchie? Leave your opinion in the comments.